Now it is time for Ask KB. Only thing I do is hit us up on Twitter, man. I'll be trying to answer the greatest and the best questions that the community has to offer. The first one we have is from Miller Mentality. One thing I will say, I absolutely love when y'all hit me up with questions about your favorite team. Because I think it's okay. I think people be trying to not mention their team, but like it's cool. And that's exactly what Miller Mentality did. He said, what direction would you take if you were the GM of the Hornets? Hope your franchise star finally gets healthy at some point, or just restart and hope the basketball gods don't target the next franchise player slash players. Which is probably the question that they're having internally all the time, right? With this front office being the front office that came after. I was trying to think of the word preceded. We're not the front office that drafted Melo Ball. It's like, what is our allegiance to him? How much do we care about him being a focal point of the team? Because you just saw 2025 draft class, we got at least 3 hits. At least that's what it seems like. No disrespect to Liam McNeely. I just don't have enough film tape on you. But like between James and Kalkbrenner and Knipple, it seems like we hit there. And if we trust our drafting ability and not look at last year where we got our boy Tajon Salon, we maybe are able to build some things. But I am one of those guys that, for better or for worse, believe in LaMelo Ball. Maybe not, I don't maybe believe him in the sense that he could be the best player on a championship level team, but I think that his skill set is so very particular and so hard to replicate. And I think it is kind of cool that even though they haven't played a ton of minutes together, Knipple and LaMelo Ball have played well together, eye test wise and advanced statistics wise, where they have a net rating over 5 with them on the court together. Like, that is some intriguing stuff. And because, again, we talk about the bottom of the Eastern Conference being as bad as it is, the Charlotte Hornets are already at minimum going to be like a 12 seed, which I know that sounds crazy, but a 12 seed in a lot of cases won't be that far off from being a play-in team, right? And again, I don't know if that's overall what they would want to do. But it is an interesting conversation, like, because people were mentioning to me like sneaky Anthony Davis saying Charlotte Hornets, and I'm like, nah, like, I don't think you push the timeline that much, especially with a guy like Anthony Davis, who we will get to in the very next question. So to get to your original question, what would I do? I would try to just get one more season, this being the season for LaMelo Ball, to see if he can get healthy, because he already dealt with some stuff already. But in the games that he plays, man, you were just in that game versus the Milwaukee Bucks before he hit his minutes restriction where it all fell off. He is such a good floor general. And I bought stock in him last season, but sold the stock before the season started because I couldn't imagine a defense being good with LaMelo on the court. But now, after watching him a little bit this season, I can kind of see it, that you don't need him to be Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby level defender, but I'm seeing him care a little bit more about that side of the ball. So I know it is probably hard for Hornets fans to keep waiting and waiting and waiting for a healthy LaMelo Ball season, but I would give it just a little bit more time, because worst case scenario, he gets injured again, and you still do have a pick in this year's draft. Best case scenario, he plays and you end up winning more games than maybe you anticipated. You could say, hey, our core is getting ready to do some things. Brandon Miller, maybe back eventually. So I would kind of just stick around. I would maybe do more deals around the edges more than making the ultimate decision about LaMelo Ball. I would maybe want to continue to add more vets into that locker room. It seems like they're building a nice culture over there, which is a plus, because that has not been a good thing for the Charlotte Hornets over the last couple of years. So more vets. I wouldn't worry about the star players just yet. Next question comes from Ethan that says, given the lopsidedness of the trade, which is fine. I'm sorry to pause your question. He said the trade. And when I first saw this question, I immediately knew what he was talking about. The Luka Anthony Davis trade has just been called the trade, and everybody will know what you're talking about. Given the lopsidedness of the trade and the magnitude of it, is it fair to say that Anthony Davis is the most underrated player in the sport? The trade has completely diminished his reputation due to something out of his control, but people forget how good he really is. Now, I can't say I'm in every single corner of NBA Twitter. I can't say that I watch many NBA related shows, so I can't tell you off the top of mind what the perception of Anthony Davis is and if it's warranted or not. I will give you my perception of Anthony Davis post-trade. I think that Anthony Davis came into the season out of shape, and he says that he does it every single season, but we have watched Anthony Davis for a decade now. He's never looked this out of shape. He came into the season after an eye surgery. It says that he's going to have goggles. That's not really a problem. But immediately after playing 5 games, he went out with another injury. And I don't, I guess, need to watch other sports shows or be in the big pockets of NBA Twitter to recognize that most people look at Anthony Davis as a high risk guy because of the injury history. Me personally, I recognize how good Anthony Davis is, even if I believe that he may not be as good now as he was 2 years ago. I still recognize him as one of the best bigs in the league. And I got to say big because he don't want to be a five man, one of the best bigs in the league. But when you take a look at, I'm sure this is stemming from a lot of fan bases, mine included, saying like, hell, if Anthony Davis is available, we don't really want him. I think it's not necessarily about the play of Anthony Davis. I think it's the lack of play from Anthony Davis. Like right now, if my Bulls were to trade for Anthony Davis and you told me we're guaranteed health, I would be ecstatic. But because we can't make that guarantee, and because I know the history of Anthony Davis, I don't want any part of the Anthony Davis business. And I feel like that's probably the case for many teams and many fan bases out there. Anthony Davis basically was the best player on the Lakers like last year. No disrespect to Brown, who made an All-NBA team, so maybe I'm not doing him a service here. But Anthony Davis was great. And even earlier in the season, the 5 games that he played, let's say 4 games that he played before he got injured, the overall stats were fine. Like they were cool. I don't know. I don't know if the overall impact on the winning aspect of it matched the actual stats of it all. As somebody that watched it, I felt like Anthony Davis looked like he was out of shape, that he was giving up on many possessions, that he wasn't getting back on defense. And those are some of the things that you may not be able to fix as of right now because he's injured. So is he the most underrated player in the league? I don't know. I don't know what the perception is on him to say, but I think that most people are probably looking at him as damaged goods, and that's trash because Anthony Davis is such a good player, but you have to think about it. It's not in the world of 2K where you can turn injuries off. Whatever team is trading for Anthony Davis next when he becomes available have to recognize that there's a chance that he won't be ready to hoop. And there is a report about him and the dude my family having a really good relationship. And the people are like, oh, that means he won't get traded. I kind of feel like it's the opposite. If I have a really good relationship with somebody and I know as the person of the company that this company is a sinking ship right now, and by design, we want to keep on first round pick. If I care about Anthony Davis, I would try to send him to a team to help him be competitive this season because it's obviously not him. I don't know if to answer your question. What do we have next? I think we got some audio questions. Let's see what y'all cooked up.
Hey, Kenny, here's my question. Who's an end of the bench guy that you think needs a bigger role in his team? Love the podcast, by the way.
I'm always trying to listen for accents. And I don't mean just like Australian accent or European. I mean like even in America, I'm trying to feel like, is that boy from the South? Is that boy from Northeast? And I didn't get, actually, when you started, I thought there was an AI. I thought you put the prompt to AI and then it spit it out, but then eventually you sound like a human. It's hard to say, man. And you know what? I used to pride myself on this growing up. Like, yeah, that guy, man, he just got it. He just got it. And a lot of times, realistically speaking, if you are the 14th or 15th man at the end of a bench, usually the coach is right. You feel me? Usually the coach is right. But there have been a few times in my history, I'm like, oh, that boy can hoop. And then he could. And I'm trying to figure that out for this season. The best example I could have gave you, bro, but it's too late. People have bought the stock, is that boy Dennis Jenkins, man. The man's been averaging 20 over the last 4 or 5 games. He's been great, but I'm late to the party, even though I had stock in him. If you know, you know, I had stock already. But in the case of this question, it feels like that's a cop-out, Kenny, because he just gave your Bulls 24. And I'm like, yeah, he did. But I saw that before. I saw him be able to do that before, so I can't use that one. I got 2 cop-out answers because they're rookies, just not getting PT on their teams. First one is Noah Sengay. Ain't no way you can tell me Noah Sengay can't play over Julian Phillips or Dalen Terry right now. And I got love for both of those dudes. They're such good guys, but you know what I mean? He go to the G League, he drop a little 38 ball. We're like, oh, snap, let him run a little bit, Billy. Billy don't let rookies run. And the next one is Jace Richardson, a team that cannot hit an open three-point shot. I just feel like Jace Richardson can provide some of that, even if he is a rookie. The next name I got is a player that I've had stock in since his rookie season. And the stock has to be so very low, but I refuse to sell it all the way. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. But this guy got drafted in 2023. And since then, I've held stock and I've said, he just needs some opportunity. He just needs some PT. He just needs this. He just needs that. That guy is Andre Jackson Jr. And he checked to the game yesterday or a few days ago against the Lakers for the last 4 minutes. And he was really bad. He's really bad. He hasn't scored yet this season. He's only averaging 3 minutes. Last year, he averaged 14. He's in the doghouse with Doc. But give him an opportunity, Doc. He can defend his butt off. and maybe do something else. I don't know.